Okay, okay, here go record. Okay, we record now. My bad. Oh my goodness. You can tell this I'm not used to doing this. So we are recording. But this one man, okay. We used to going live, but Podbean has changed its formats. I don't know what happened, but they said that they don't allow live recordings anymore because some states have banned it. I don't know why, but so they don't do it. They don't. There you go. I guess so. Dang, that's crazy though. Because you think about it, when you live, you can just say whatever, and people listening. You know what? You right, Corey. I didn't even think about that. I did not think about that. You already know it. It's probably some of these blue ones. I'm convinced they all who's in cahoots. Right? It's the same. What folks say, the same bird, different wings, different feather, different wings. They all, when they leave and get done doing what they doing, they all go to the same place and vacation and eat dinner at the same spots. They, they family members, they sons and daughters date each other. It's a conglomerate. So, man. Man, listen, Corey, I did not know how corrupt. I mean, I don't know if I want to say it's corrupt, but the conflict of interest in that is crazy work to me because I know somebody who had a situation, a little charge, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I got this lawyer here in chat," and the lawyer was like, "Oh yeah, I go to lunch with the judge, so you should be good. We can get your charges knocked down. X Y Z. Da 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 da." His son took my daughter to the prom. I'm like, what? Hold on. So y'all really all buddies for real? Right. Man, that part. But that's where we are though, Corey. I think that all the rules that we think are in play, they're only in play for certain sect of people. They not in play for everybody like we think because they don't follow none of these rules. I don't think. I don't think because just looking at how the way things are going with the government, like it's checks and balances, and the checks and balances ain't being followed. People just coming in doing what they want to, seeing, throwing everything out there and seeing what sticks. And people are just going with it. Like, at what point do you be like, hey, this ain't making sense? This this ain't right. Yeah. Yeah, they keeping their legacy going. So we know what it is. We ain't gonna harp on it, but we gonna make you aware because you got to know. Got to know. Okay, so we back with Sapsucker Sundays. So y'all bear with us. We did this has been since what, February? Now July. We got a little different format going. Like I said before, we are not live anymore. We are recording, pre-recorded. So you got me, the Fisa B, and we got on the other side. All right, we all right, all right, all right. I gotta find me a nickname. I have one next time we get on. So so for this Sunday, reboot of Fuck Your Thoughts, Sap Sucker Sunday. The title that we have is Beyond the Mason Dixon Line, Southern Everywhere I Go. On this episode of Fuck Your Thoughts, we will delve into the Black American experience as it relates to leaving the South and moving into other parts of the continental United States. We will discuss the history of Black migration as well as the racial implications that may have come along with living in another area. As always, we will talk our sass and get off task and crack jokes in our West Tennessee lingo. And then I have a disclaimer because people be sensitive. So they be wanting you to think you got to have titles and stuff behind your name. So let me give y'all this. The views and opinions that are expressed on this show are those of our own individual knowledge and experiences. We may not have a doctor in front of our name or a PhD behind our names, but we have lived life as well as done our own studies, and we know how to read, y'all. So we ain't no dummies. So, so there we go. So you got any news for us? Anything you want to share this go round, Corey? Mm, okay, okay. Mm, hmm. So you think that we're victims, or eventually we start off as victims, and you have to get out of the victim? What's your opinion? Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think in the beginning you're victims, but then once you see what the play is, you try to move around that play to not stay a victim. Because if you stay a victim, you'll put yourself in a cycle, endless cycle of victimhood, and your mentality will be in such that you are stuck in a place that you never. It's just hard to get out. But also, with that being said, the things that happen over hundreds of years, a span of hundreds of years. So it takes a while for that to be undone. So you say it's happened 600 years. It's gonna take about that plus some more. What they be telling people? Well, if you've been on drugs for this long, it's gonna take you at least half that amount of time to get off of it, if not more. I don't know if that's the exact verbiage or term. Yeah. So yeah. So for every year that you done been on drugs, it's gonna take you about 6 months to recover from that. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Right. Exactly. So it's we got it. We gotta have grace, but we gonna tap into that a little deeper once we get into the aspects of you know what we experience as Black people in this country from the different areas. So I'm gonna come to y'all with my word of the day, Merriam-Webster. Merriam-Webster's word of the day for July the 5th, 2026 is acquisitive. Acquisitive, acquisitive. And that is an adjective. And it means someone or something described as acquisitive is characterized by a strong desire to own or acquire more things. So basically, acquisitive, the root word is acquire. So that makes sense. Characterized by a strong desire to acquire more things. So an example of this would be for a sentence. The game aims to teach middle schoolers to balance their acquisitive instincts with a consideration of what will benefit society as a whole. Okay. Right. Exactly. Right. That's what I say. I'm a acquisitive person of knowledge. Like I love to learn. I like to read. Like here the last few months, I really have been getting back into reading, like getting in touch with what's important. Sometimes and reading gives you a quiet space. Like I ain't talking about reading on the internet, scrolling through stuff. That's fun, but reading a book, like I have really been getting back into reading and tapping into my imagination the last few months because man, because the internet is fun, but it'll take you down some rabbit holes into some places with your thoughts. And sometimes it can be too much. You know what I'm saying? Overwhelming, and it can frazzle you more than really calm you down sometimes. Because I know I get to doom scrolling. If something happen, I'm feeling worried about something. I get to scrolling. It should do not make life better in no manner. Yeah, it is like the phone slick and read my mind, so it's gonna start talking about shit that I'm going through, and I be like, bruh, like I can relate to it. I need this, but damn, like now you got me questioning my thoughts, and I'm trying to go with the thoughts that I'm getting off the internet. Man, let me just sit with myself and go with my own thoughts before I be done went with somebody else shit and fucked up my life because it ain't the same situation. I, you good, you good. Right. Ain't got nothing to do with it, man. It just got me feeling some type of way. So yeah. And with that being said, last month was what Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes. What's your viewpoint on that? What Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. That part. Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. And that's black men. I will say what I'm realizing, just dealing with my brothers, and just from my viewpoint, just me looking at. I'm not a man, so I can't speak from the space of a man. I can only speak from the space of a woman. A lot of men really don't be want to open up, Corey. Like I don't know if it's this shield that y'all feel like y'all gotta have. Like, and I guess too for so long. A lot of times we expect men to just be providers and protectors. We give y'all this one dimensional image when in reality, y'all be just as damn complex as women when it comes to certain stuff. Like we like for real, like I know for me, I'm learning how to I don't know, I be wanting this is my personal experience. I be trying to be open to listen to my partner talk, but sometimes I just feel shut out. Even when I do open, because for me, I feel like me talking and telling you what I have going on is opening the door for you to open up and talk. But that's not always what I get. So I guess I'm saying we have to find a way, men have to find a way to be comfortable enough to open up and talk. And I don't know if women always have the correct way. Not saying that we should be responsible for that because we're always responsible for our own emotions and feelings and thoughts. So that mean not, I ain't saying women go out here and make your man talk. No, I'm not saying that. But it yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I think women we feel more comfortable talking when it comes to certain things. And I will say this too. I'm realizing that women do better when they have friends. Women come from a circle of love and having each other, and that is dying. um that's dying. Women have always, it's just like elephants. You know how elephants, they keep, they it's all women and the young. Soon as that male elephant becomes a bull, what happens? He leaves. They kick him on. Same with lions. Who runs the lion? Lionesses are together as one with the cubs. You may have one man that come in and make, but he gone on. Soon as those male cubs get big enough, they go on. They leave. So I'm saying that to say that women need to start getting into women's groups, being with women, because when your women are strong, your men can be strong and feel comfortable. Men don't really have them circles. You may have one or two homeboys you talk to, but them niggas be dumb as shit. Excuse my language, but I'm not even gonna say no. I can't speak of that because I'm not a man. I'll let you speak on that part. But Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's it. The comprehension and the compassion are not there. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Man. We gonna make some shake always. Yeah. 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 Work together for a common goal. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And like I said before, women, I realize we thrive better in a community of other women, like-minded women. But yeah, when the women are strong, the men will be strong because when you have a support system as a woman from other women, you can raise your sons. But hopefully, we like for the fathers to be there. This is just the, you know, just a general conversation. But when the women are strong in your community, the men are strong. And I think we live in a country that focuses on our values are based off of somebody else's values as black people. Because the more I think about it, usually in black communities, who is the lead? Big mama. You got big mama. It used to be big mama, grandmama, grand, whoever. They were always, the matriarch always led the family in black communities. And when you had that strong support, you felt okay. You felt supported. But our dynamics have changed in our community as what we deem as important. We've kind of fallen into somebody else's idea of what a family dynamic, what our community dynamic should look like. Yeah. Yeah. We need each other. Yes. Yes, because you think about it, before integration, all we had was each other when we were segregated. We had a community. Everybody worked together in the black community. We kept our dollars in our community. We all supported each other. We had our own everything. And the moment we asked for a seat at somebody else's table, that was chopped apart, torn apart. So now we're out here living by somebody else's rule. When you ask for a seat at somebody else's table, you have to follow whose rules? Their rules. So, so yeah, yeah, yes. So that no, yeah, 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 yeah. We had that. Yes, and it may not have looked as good as theirs, but we had that. The men, you think about it, the women took care of what they took care of. They were together, and the men were together. It was a sense of belonging. And I'm not saying that back then men's mental health was just the strongest, but I think it was better than what it is now. Everybody in the black community is in a sense of isolation to me. We're isolated. We're more so with our immediate families. Yeah, we cut off. We cut off. Like, and I'm not saying it's good to move and go here, there, and live every. But a lot of times, when the situation where it's just the husband and the wife, or you two, your nuclear family, but it was always better for us when we had a supporting cast around us. Because you felt more comfortable and you could be yourself. Well, now we're moving into spaces where we are basically isolated and cut off from you the minority in places. So now you having to acclimate yourself and matriculate into somebody else's society. So with that being said, let's go right into a conversation, a topic. So our topics. So beyond the Mason Dixon line, that's what we came up. So me and Corey were just talking about the struggles of basically being black and moving across I ain't gonna say diaspora because diaspora is like going to other countries, but the diaspora of the United States. And like us being Southerners, basically pretty much most of the black people in this country come from the South. Like that's the origins of it. Like beyond the Mason Dixon line, but even though wherever I go, I'm Southern everywhere I go because it started with us. So so we get into it. We of course we're gonna always give y'all a little history behind, you know, because we want to give you all a complete picture. We just ain't finna just be throwing out shit. So we're gonna give you a brief history of black people and some facts and where they started, you know, our origins. Of course, like I said, I'm from the South. Corey's from the South. Your whole family from the South, ain't the Corey? Yeah. Both sides. My family is from Tennessee and more migrated from North Carolina. I'm pretty sure when it was North Carolina and Tennessee together and Virginia, but we've been here in the South, Eastern Seaboard since forever. So, with that being said, the origins of most black people are the South or the Eastern Seaboard. You got the transatlantic slave trade from 16th through 19th century. It's basically when Portuguese and Spanish colonizers brought black Africans to the United States from West and Central Africa. Majority of them came from the Biafra, which is Nigeria and Cameroon, the Gambia, which is Senegal and Gambia, the Windward Coast, which is Liberia, and Cote d'Ivoire, which is Ivory Coast, and the Bight Benin, which is Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. But also, you had black people here already, indigenous black Americans, and basically the generalized tribes were Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, Muskogee, Seminole, and then you have some honorable mentions along the Carolinas and Georgia up into the eastern coast. Like I said, eastern snowboard. Because I know you had black people in Canada too already, and then in Florida you have the Yamasee. Yeah, exactly. You have the Yama. We ain't get into the detail. We just giving y'all a brief, but you had the Yamasee, which were apart from the Carolinas and the Georgia, and you had the Shinnecock, which were from Long Island, New York. And I don't know if y'all know ODB. He always claimed that he was Shinnecock. So man, ODB used to give y'all work. Y'all thought that man was crazy. Bro, he did. He did. He was deeper than people wanted to. I realized the black people too. Or in that world, you have to play the fool sometimes to get what you're trying to get across. People may not give you your flowers while you living, but they'll realize like, oh shit, this what he was on later on. So shout out to yeah, play dumb. Yeah, if you got to play dumb to get your point across. Who your boy Charleston White do that all the time. So basically, so like I said, you had the transatlantic slave trade and you also had indigenous Americans already here. But what the US government did, they came up with the DAWS rolls, DAWS rolls. This is when the US government instituted these rolls to reclassify indigenous blacks as colored or black, to take their land and strip them of their tribal identity, and they put indigenous names into a freedom roll, and that is the roll that can be used to identify the original families whose land was taken. That's just a little fun fact for you guys. Mm. Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. I'm a Tom Freeman because I'm a Freeman. And I know it's a lot of indigenous people whose last names is Jones. Jones is an indigenous name I don't know where it came from, but I listened to a lady, Queen Janice, and she lives in Georgia. And she's saying that a lot of people with the last name Jones are 9 times out of 10 indigenous Americans that were already here. So, so real quick, the Great Migration. So, like I said, a majority of black people come from the South and the Eastern Seaboard. Ain't no way around it. It was some out west, but I don't, majority of us migrated from the South. The first wave of the migration was from 1910 to 1940. This is when approximately 1.5 billion Southerners moved to northern cities like New York, Chicago, Detroit, and Pittsburgh due to labor shortages during World War One and the collapse of the cotton economy in the South. The second wave was from 1940 to 1970. Over 5 million Black Americans expanded to the West Coast, i.e., Los Angeles and Oakland, mostly from Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So a lot of y'all cousins, like I think who was that? Brandy and Ray J, they from Mississippi. They were born in Mississippi. Yes. So yes, yes. Yeah, because a lot of people from Chicago and St. Louis are from Memphis and Tennessee. They migrated from Mississippi, and they call Memphis Little Chicago because if you follow the interstate, yes, Little Chicago. But if you follow the interstate, I think I-51 it'll take you straight into St. Louis and then into Chicago, straight from Memphis, straight shot. So you have a lot of black people who left Mississippi, moved to Memphis, and then from Memphis they migrated to St. Louis as well as Chicago. Yeah. Hmm. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh, Lambert's. Yeah, Lambert's Road. Yes. Yes. Yep. Yes. So that was your second wave. Then you, from 1970 to current time, you have reverse migration. And basically, the reverse migration is the reverse migration of Black Americans back to the South for lower cost of living, family ties, more opportunities, and in growing metropolitan areas like Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, and Houston. Uh, Another little quick tidbit. By 1910, approximately 90% of Black Americans lived in the South. By 1970, that number dropped to 53%. Black Americans shaped the cultural, political, and social fabric of the United States. So, y'all got the little history lesson. So now we're finna get into the racial difficulties facing each region of the United States by Black Americans that live there. So I don't know if you want to read or you want me to keep reading and we just remark on it. Okay. Well, I can keep reading and we can just go from there. So a lot of people, so the first region we're gonna talk about is the East Coast. So East Coast racism is a little different. You know, in the East Coast, I consider that like New York, uh, DC, the DMV area, by all of that, yeah, up on the East Coast. So it's characterized by systematic, covert racism, interpersonal and microaggressive behaviors. There are deep historical roots in racism and modern day disparities. Most of the time they're viewed as progressive, but it has a complex legacy of segregation, discriminatory housing policy, and law enforcement profiling. One of the big ones was redlining, that was denying mortgages and financial services to specific neighborhoods, especially in Boston, New York, Philly. And what happens is this creates massive wealth gaps and unequal distribution of resources. And Jalen Brown basically touched on that. I don't know if you've been keeping up, but he basically, yeah, yes, that man is brilliant. He was just basically speaking on Boston and how the city is really slick racist. Like it's yeah. Roxbury. Is it Roxbury? Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's where that's where who is it? Bobby Brown. What's the name of that little group? Oh man, King. Yeah, New Edition. That's where they're from. And it's a whole different ball game. It's more like I don't know. Yes, 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 yes. New kids on the block. All of that. Yes. Mhm. Yes. 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 So it runs heavy there. So that's what you have. You have redlining, and then the criminal justice disparities. So basically, you have higher rates of police stops, arrest, and harsher sentencing. And we saw this under Rudy Giuliani. It really picked up when Rudy Giuliani was the mayor of New York. He created the stop and frisk. So basically, at any moment, if the police stop you, they had the right to frisk you without even giving you any rights. And they say that the crime went down, but saw more black people go to jail. So that's another issue that you see in the East Coast, and you see health and environmental injustices as well. So, uh, man, yes, yes. Yeah, and I remember it was like a big argument about the projects in the South versus the projects up north. And people up north was like, y'all don't live in no bricks in the South. Y'all live in apartments. And people down south was like, bro, I'd rather live in the so-called apartments any day because them high rises, the way y'all have to live, nah, we good on that. On top of each other, right? But at the end of the day, it's still the projects. Nobody wants to live. It's just exactly project. So if y'all don't know the history of projects, they were created after World War II for GIs to come home to have housing, and not black GIs. This was Caucasian GIs to have housing because they figure a lot of them, but because a lot of them came home, they didn't really have land. So what they did was they ended up they some of them did live in the projects for a little while, but they ended up turning the projects into places for black people, and they started giving white GIs, property and land that they confiscated during World War II. They called it war bonds. So they took a lot of land and redistributed it to other GIs for, with the GI Bill and stuff. So a lot of people really didn't get their land and stuff until the 1940s after World War I, World War II, and they make you think that they've been having this forever. But I digress. I ain't gonna get that deep into that. But yeah, yes, camp, yeah, camps, yes, the Polish ghettos, ghettos, yes. So that's a little bit of that's the history of it. We giving y'all some facts. Giving y'all some facts. So okay, so now we're gonna move on to the West Coast. West Coast is characterized by deep systematic passive racism. It's viewed as political progressiveness that covers up deep historical roots of systematic exclusion, gentrification, and segregation. It's a diverse it's a diverse region, but institutionally inequality, covert discrimination, and overt hate crimes. Hence, Rodney King, the list goes on. So, restrictive covenants are basically racially restrictive housing covenants, explicitly banning blacks from owning or renting homes in desirable neighborhood. That's where your HOAs come into play. That's an example. A restrictive covenant is an example of an HOA. Uh, California and the Pacific Northwest is also known for sundown towns, not just the South, sundown towns. If you look at the history of Oregon, for years up until the 1970s, I don't think they physically could, but in the 1970s, it was a law up until 1970s that blacks could not live in Oregon, which you had blacks living there, but that was in the law, in the books. Uh huh. Yes. Yes. Really? Really? Oh wow, I did not know that. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't know what I. Colorado comes off as this liberal place. That's like kumbaya. Okay, well that makes sense. So our next point, you have black tokenism due to a smaller black population. So you subject, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of us have migrated and moved to other places, so we don't have our immediate families, our grandmamas, our mamas and daddies. So you move out to a place, because I know I be listening to a lot of black women say the dating out in LA is weird for them because they're usually the only black girls, and the guys there don't really like to date black girls because it's only a handful of them, and they're competing with other races, Hispanics or whatever. Oh, okay. Oh my God. Yes. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. 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 Okay, so Corey can attest that. So black tokenism due to smaller black population. Then of course, like we said, you have hate crimes, and you have law enforcement, racial profiling, and police brutality. That was big in the 80s during the crack era. Same, they had the same kind of deal in LA. I can't remember who the oh, his name's on the tip of my tongue, who the LA police chief was, but he was big on that stuff. Yeah, Giuliani. Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. In the 60s. Mhm. Yes. In the 90s. Yes. Yes. In the 80s and 90s. I want to say his last name is Gates. I can't remember his last name. Don't give me the line. But yes, he was the one who really took it up a notch, which led to the 92 riots. But yeah, whoever he was, I can't remember his name. It'll come to me after we get off of here. But yes, that was a big deal. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Mm. Okay, is that in South Central or is that in what Inglewood, Crenshaw? Okay, South Central. Oh, okay. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, Furious Styles coming with the knowledge as we kick in. Okay, so next we got Midwest. Midwest racism is characterized by interpersonal and passive aggressive racism. You got the Midwest nice, which is a unique systematic form of racism masked by niceness. They are described as polite but are passive aggressive, using subtle inclusions, coded language, microaggression, and cliques in social and professional settings as tactics. Home to some of the most hyper segregated metropolitan areas. You got Chicago, Detroit, and Milwaukee. And some of the things that we see home ownership gap, economic inequality, and high incarceration rates. And this goes back to Martin Luther King. He marched all over the South, but he said when he went to Chicago, he was like, I ain't never seen nothing. What did he say, bro? He said, I have never seen, even in Mississippi and Alabama, mobs as hateful as I have seen here in Chicago. That's what they hit him in the head with a rock, didn't they? A brick or something. Yes. Yes, and you can see going on in Chicago now, like to this day. Places like Milwaukee and Detroit. Detroit was a big, beautiful, booming city. Like my family migrated from Jackson. On my dad's side, a lot of them left in the 70s and 80s. They moved to in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. They moved to Detroit to work at Ford. Yeah, work at the factories, and they made off well. They had good money. They were able to buy homes. They had nice neighborhoods, nice cars, got pensions. But then I don't know what happened. The collapse of Detroit. They started pulling a lot of those factory jobs and sending them overseas. That was during the 80s, early 90s. You started getting into NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Act. So a lot of those car jobs, those yes, a lot of those jobs were sent to Mexico because now you got free trade amongst Canada, United States, and Mexico. So it's cheaper labor. So a lot of people lost jobs and lost their homes in Detroit due to that. Um, yeah, Milwaukee. I ain't never really know too much about Milwaukee. I visited there like once or twice, but it was all I didn't really. Oh, Gary, Indiana. Yes, yes. Well, Gary is like that now. Gary is a ghost town. My mom's family lives in Indianapolis. They're from Indianapolis. And we leave Indianapolis to go to Chicago, you go through Gary. So you got places like Gary, you got East St. Louis, which is right outside on the outskirts of St. Louis. Those places are dilapidated now because there's no industry. Nobody has jobs. Those jobs have went into Chicago and into St. Louis. So a lot of those were predominantly black towns that have nothing there anymore. Like we rode through East St. Louis a few years ago, and it was just like a ghost town. Gary, the same way. It's nothing in Gary, bro. Nothing except for a Michael Jackson mural in the Jackson's old family house that they made a historical landmark. That's it. Okay, so next. Oh, you go ahead. I'm sorry, Corbin. Okay, so next we got the Southwest, which is characterized by a mix of covert racism, microaggressiveness, and black isolation due to a smaller black populace than that of the South. It mirrors the South, but compounded by unique regional dynamics such as intercultural relations with Mexicans, Hispanics, and Native American. Native American. This is right. Yep. Hmm. Really? Mm. Hmm. Yeah. They, yeah. So they're more what they call it, white aligning, Caucasian aligning in their values, but majority of hmm yeah, yeah, hmm hmm got okay, okay. And 13 is the divine feminine number. Oh wow. So I wonder what made them choose 13. But okay. Oh, the letter M. Oh, but how's that 13? It might be M. Okay, M is 13. It must be M. You ain't got to count that because I was like, what made them choose the number 13? That's like divine feminine number. But the oh mhm mhm oh okay okay, so they coincide with the lettering of the alphabet. Gotcha. Okay, they doing a little yeah yeah gotcha. True. Okay, well, that makes sense then. So, so some of the things that we see are red line in the Southwest is redlining and segregation again, education, and you also have sundown towns. So apparently Tempe, Arizona used to be a sundown town back in the day. Never knew. So sure was, and you had that sheriff in Maricopa County. I think they got rid of him. Boy, he did not play. He was not nothing nice, baby. Ooh, he was even mean to people coming across the border. I can't remember his name, but Maricopa is, I want to say, is that Phoenix? It's right there on the border. Yes, he was not playing, baby. He was getting them come across that border you won't, baby. He was getting you, shipping you out. You're going to go back and either dead or alive, whichever he decides. So I think they got him out of there because he had some misconduct going on, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so the last but not least, we got the South. It's characterized by covert cultural clashes, stratified social dynamics, and microaggressiveness. It's a complex web of systematic racism rooted in the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow era laws and political systems. Uh, a lot of the things that you see are economic challenges, which are low income and wages, and that's still active to this day. High rates of poverty, political disenfranchisement, and you have a lot of Jim Crow era evolution of institutionalized disparities. So, with the political disenfranchisement, we see that going on in Memphis and Louisiana, where they're trying, yeah, right now, where they're really trying to redo the districting to where you only have a limited amount of Democratic seats. So in Memphis, which is a predominantly Democratic city, they trying to wipe out all their Democratic seats and give them all Republican seating. Yeah. And they've gone in, they just struck down in Memphis. They were trying to have the state take over the school system, but they struck that down. They do have the National Guard there. So, yeah. Yes, just a political civil unrest. And to me, Memphis is the seat of a lot of things. Like, people don't realize how important Memphis is. Like, that's one of your last African American strongholds. Yes. Yeah, one of your last chocolate cities. No, in your face. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Because Memphis is where the good water is, the well aquifer is underground. Yes. You have the Mississippi River, which is a serious a serious waterway that moves things. You have a lot of trains that come through Memphis. A lot of trains. Like, Memphis is kind of like St. Louis. That's the last stop before you cross the Mississippi going west. Because St. Louis, the Gateway Arches is basically the gateway to the west. Memphis is the same way. So you have a lot of transportation routes coming through there. And I don't think people realize the seriousness of this. Like, the thing about that makes Memphis different is majority of the people that it's a chocolate city, but most of those people are indigenous to that city. They have been there. Whereas you go to an Atlanta, it's a chocolate city, but most of those people have migrated there. They're imports from elsewhere. You go to DC, Maryland, I think is yeah, I think Maryland is still quite a few people that are from there, but Memphis is one of the last southern cities where majority of the people that live there that are black were originally from there, and they are different. Mhm. Yes, yes, just right there next to Memphis. Yeah, I know Coldwater, Mississippi. You got what Horn Lake. You got DeSoto County, which is right there. You got Tunica. Yeah, DeSoto County. You got is it South Haven? Is Mississippi South Haven, Mississippi? South Haven. It's all right there. And people don't understand. Like, Memphis is a serious. I hate it for the city. I really do, because that would be the only. I don't know. You good? You good? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Mhm. Yes. Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Mhm. Blue soul. Yes. Sax music. Stax. Yes, Stax Music. Stax did a big concert out west in California, the Stax Watts concert yes, in the 70s. So Memphis, like you said, Memphis is a very important place. Like, that's where soul came from, soul music. You gotta think about hip hop, rap. They're just now recognizing Memphis rap, but we grew up on that, so we know how deep it runs. We know Memphis, like, and my mama, she's from Indianapolis, but she went to Lane, and she would always tell me, she said, I would listen to Memphis music in Memphis. She said Memphis would set the tone for because she said Memphis will always come out with the songs first, black music first, before it hit the rest of the country. Of course, that has changed. This was back in the 70s and 80s, but she said I always looked to Memphis for music because they were the sound. You knew what direction they were going with music whenever it came out of Memphis. So yeah, man, yes, because country music came from the blues. Country music is the blues, just with a different count. Bluegrass, bluegrass, yeah, bluegrass, yep. So Memphis, like I said, is a very historical place. I'm curious to see how it turns out there. I hate it. I really hate it. I really hate it. Like Memphis would be the only other place I would live in Tennessee other than Jackson. And if I left Chattanooga, it would be Memphis. But I don't know what the conditions are like. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. 901. That's it. That's it. So you got anything else you want to add, Corey? I would love to figure out how to get the music playing on here, but I can't. So I have to do it next time. But yeah, good to be back on this thing. Exactly. So we gonna close out. I ain't got nothing. We'll come up with some closing stuff later. But shouts out to everybody. I do want to give a shout out though to Ashley. He gave me all the beats to download. I just got to figure out how to get them on here. So shout out to Big VZA Dot at Monster Music Mart on YouTube for the fire beats. Like, we are about sharing and uplifting community. Yeah, supporting our own. Like, if you have something, share. Like, be open. Like, if you posting stuff online and you see people Facebook that you may know, share it. Even if you don't even fool with them like that, still share it. Like, you never know what you can do instead of sitting there judging. People be doing stuff. So, like I said, shout out to Big Busy A Dot, Monster Mart Music on YouTube for the beats. He's a fellow West Tennessean that has supported Fuck Your Thoughts since day one. So please support. We want to support. Keeping creativity alive because more creatives are needed. That part. All right. Let me see. Okay, so I guess you probably need to push the power button in the top, Corey. You see the power. I'm gonna push because I don't. This different. So we gonna see. Hopefully this save. So I'm gonna put. I'm. You can push the power and push. I do give you an option to leave. All right. Peace to the next time.